सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येम अक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
यज्जाग्रतो दूरमुदैति दैवं तदु सुप्तस्य तथैवैति दूरङ्गमं ज्योतिषां ज्योतिरेकम् तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु येन कर्माण्यपसो मनीषिणो यज्ञे कृण्वन्ति विदधेषु धीराः यदपूर्वं यक्षमन्तः प्रजानां तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु यत्प्रज्ञानमुत चेतो धृतिश्च यज्ज्योतिरन्तरमृतं प्रजासु यस्मान्नऋते किञ्चन कर्म क्रियते तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु येनेदं भूतं भुवनं भविष्यत् परिगृहीतममृतेन सर्वम् येन यज्ञस्तायते सप्तहोता तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु यस्मिन् ऋचः सामयजूगुंषि यस्मिन् प्रतिष्ठिता रथनाभाविवाराः यस्मिन् कश्चित्तगुं सर्वमोतं प्रजानान् तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु सुषारथिरश्वानि वयन्मनुष्यान्नेनीयते भीषुभिर्वाजिन इव हृत्प्रतिष्ठं यदजिरञ्जविष्ठम् तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु
So I think what we will do today is kind of what we did for mantra number 1 2 weeks ago when we had the last class. So we will do a complete revision of mantra number 2 with the word meanings and the sentence meaning. And hopefully we will have enough time to complete the review of the second mantra with a nididhyasanam today. So as you know, the second mantra says, Yena karmani apasaha manishinaha yajñe krinvanti vidatheshu dhiraha yadapurvam yadaksham yaksham antaf prajanam tanme mana Shiva Sankalpamastu. So it says, we saw the English sentence meaning. Let me just read that from here. Through whom, yena means by which, through whom the wise endowed with the knowledge of the sacred karmas utilize them in performing yajnas, one and the one which is located in the heart of every living being and is a prerequisite for all their experiences. May that mind be filled with benevolent thoughts of Shiva. So somehow these sentences, even a short sentence does not convey the full meaning of what it is. So we will do that in the commentary. So what we saw was that the first mantra was to get acquainted with this amazing power that each one of us is endowed with the blessings of Ishvara. Amazing power, which is our mind. And we need to observe it and to utilize it for what we really want to do, which is a complete cessation of any problems in my life. That's the goal of life, is that if my nature is happiness, as the Shastra says, then I want to see really, because it doesn't appear to be. And we will go over why some of that is. So the first mantra is to get acquainted with this power that we have. So, yat jagrataha duram udaiti, etc. It goes away, comes back, changes the whole day. And because of my identity with it, I am not able to sit back and take a view of what I have in my life. This amazing power, this instrument, the most powerful instrument that we possess, we need to understand what it is. So the first verse, first mantra was devoted to that. But then the second mantra which we are going to do today, which we have been doing, yat karma, yena karmani apasaha, etc., tells us just by observing the mind and getting acquainted with it is just a start. If you say at the end of the first mantra, okay, I know how my mind works and so on, that's not a complete utility of what my life should be. So then the second mantra says, after having observed your mind, now utilize it for your eventual goal. Acquaintance means now that you know how it works, now understand how to transform it, how to manipulate it, how to utilize it for your own good. And so the second mantra, and I think the subsequent mantras, talk about transforming your mind in a way that your final goal will be effective. Tanme manaha Shiva Sankalpa mastu. May my mind be utilized in such a manner that it really, instead of my wasting time in my life, it becomes an instrument of my freedom. So that's the second one. So here it says, if you want to just quickly have a sentence meaning, so he says, Yena Manishinaha. So Manishinaha means, Manisha means the one who are the Isha of their mana is called Manisha. Manisha means who are able to employ their wisdom which is given to you by the spiritual wisdom of Shastra. May you utilize that in managing your mind. I was using my words carefully. It's not controlling, and certainly it has it, but managing your mind in a way that's good for you. So this is what is called a manishina. And also dhira, as you know, dhira also we have explained that, and we will do that again maybe in more detail some other time. But it has two functions to it, dhira, one which is called vivekina. And so manisha means that by viveka is the most important thing between atma and anatma. What is real, what is not real, what is stable, what is unstable. So this is the viveka. And the other one is the courage. So this will come a little bit later on some of the requirements for managing the mind in such a way that you don't get, it's not a casual, it's something very effective, very serious, very committed. So this way, so he says, Yena manishinaha dhiraha vidatheshu yagre kanvanti. Vidatheshu means with all their samagri, with all of their, in other words, with the preparations. You cannot go into a launching of travel without being well equipped. You cannot do yajna without having all the samagri of doing the yajna. And so that is what vidatheshu, we saw all that, I'm just revising it. Yena manishina dhiraha yajne karmani apasaha kirvanti. Karmani apasaha yajne kirvanti. So here we saw, as we know, that this one, this second mantra, the key word is yajna. So yajna means a devotion to being part of the whole world. That's what yajna is. As we saw that even trees, believe it or not, are giving fruits and leaves and oxygen and so on. The sun and the moon and the waters and everything is doing yajna. Human beings is the only one who is ignorant of doing that until it learns. And in which case the yajna can become a very powerful instrument for becoming one with the whole world, which is what Vedanta is all about, as we will see in considerable detail in the Mandukya Upanishad. Okay, so the key word in the second word is yajna. So he says the Manishinaha, they perform the yajnas with a very technically correct way. And technically correct way here means by learning. I remember Swami Dayananji used to say that. It was very interesting that way. Supposing you go on a vacation, and it's a very beautiful place that you're visiting, and you have some young kids. And the young kids also are enjoying their, playing in the garden outside and rowing in the river, enjoying the river or the ocean or something like that. They are just happy. So wonderful. But they do not understand how this was done, who paid for it, who maintains it. And so the technical background on that is unknown to them. They're just enjoying. But if you become an adult, you understand that going on an expensive vacation, you have to earn a lot of money. You have to have some time. You have to be able to take time off from work. And then you choose a place, go to the right, all those kinds of things about a vacation. So there's a lot behind a vacation that the youngster doesn't know, but the adult, even though they are enjoying it, is able to understand this is where vidatheshu means all the samagri for it should be known to them. Similarly, a student of Vedanta needs to understand what a beautiful creation this is, and how things are all kept together. What a major, sophisticated machine the human being's, any being's body is. How everything hangs together so beautifully. And so you enjoy it, but you also are aware of the background of Ishvara's wisdom and his kindness, and so all of that is known to them. And so this is now translated into manaha. So yena karmani apasaha. Apasaha means through karma. Water, as you know, is the symbol of karma. We can study that some other time. Anyway, so that's the first line. Then the second line is interesting also. Yad apurvam yaksham antaf prajanam. That manaha, that tan me manaha Shiva Sankalpa mastu. So now we will go into manaha, the nature of mind. How to utilize the mind for our eventual good, as we saw earlier. So here we can ask a question. This is interesting. This is interesting to know how to go forward. You can ask a question to any being, any human being. Suppose you ask somebody, are you happy? Or are you unhappy? Tell me. What would be the normal answer? I'm happy. some of the time, and I am not happy at other times. Similarly, you can ask, do you have a kind disposition where you are patient and are forgiving? Or do you get impatient and become frustrated? Again, the same answer will come. I think there are times of the day, there are portions of my life where I find myself to be very kind and helping others. And other times I find that I'm not. I'm very selfish. Okay? So now the interesting question is, if you say I'm happy some of the time and not happy at other times, aren't these two completely different things? Isn't it like saying, sometimes I'm a cow and sometimes I'm a horse? Here's Swami Akhandananda, when he was talking about this part in one of the books, he uses a Sanskrit word which says Bauddhika asangati. Bauddhika asangati. He uses that word. He's talking in Hindi, but it's a very Sanskritized Hindi. And here he uses this conclusion to say, I'm sometimes this and I'm sometimes that, as Bauddhika samgati. Bauddhika means buddhi. Buddhi means sense, to make sense. Asangati means absence of sense. English translation will be, it doesn't make sense. This is nonsense. So just look at this. If somebody says, that's me, and then you say, I'm sometimes this, and I'm sometimes that, totally different from each other. Sometimes I'm sleeping. Sometimes I'm awake. Sometimes I'm so angry that you cannot believe it. Sometimes I'm so kind. All these pairs of changes, opposites, are all in me. And yet you see you are okay with it. Well, I don't know what else to do. This is what life is. This is what I was born with. But isn't this Bauddhika asamgati? Kind of, yes. But so what? So it just means that there is something funny going on. It doesn't, so you're saying it doesn't make any sense. I agree with you. If you ask me in the way of a horse and a cow, or a cat and a dog, it just seems like it. But that's the way it is. Is there an answer for this? Of course. What is it? This is what Shastra now comes in and says, listen, listen, listen. Doesn't it suggest to you two factors? One factor is you are what you are. And the second factor is you think through your mind differently about yourself. What it means is that a imposition, you can call it superimposition, adhyaropa is the technical word in Sanskritam, is imposed on yourself for some time. You remaining the same. This is the resolution. This is the explanation. Can't you see this? Shastra says. Sometimes it becomes this. Sometimes it becomes that. But none of that is really your true nature. Because something that comes and goes is an imposition. So this is what mithya means. So if you see that if you are the clay, sometimes you can be a cup, sometimes you can be a platter, sometimes you could be a tumbler without really losing yourself. This is the explanation. This is what is called adhyaropa apavada. So it really means that you're taking yourself to be different things at different times is the play of the mind. Is the play of the mind. So this is an explanation of the nature of the mind, which we saw in some detail in the first mantra. And this is what you have to see. You are playing a kind of a role. That's not you. I don't know. I was looking at some of the commentary on the Vaidhatya Prakaranam recently, and Swami Akhandananda gives a very beautiful example of a phenomena which it doesn't directly derive from the second mantra. I hope I can fit that in, but I'll mention it. It was so beautiful. What a beautiful example. I've not seen that before. So this example is that of, so it triggered my thoughts got triggered by the playing a role. From there, I remembered the example of Swami Akhandananda in a different context. So what he was saying was, this is of course the classical discussion and understanding of Advaita Vedanta. And the Advaita Vedanta, it says, it is not about just samadhi, which is the favorite of the yogis. You just eliminate all thoughts and just be with yourself, and that is freedom. We don't think that is correct. It is not a question of samadhi. It is like saying, you tell a wave of the ocean, hey, you're the water, you're not a wave. She says, really, I don't believe it. I look like a wave, I behave like a wave. How can I not be a wave? No, you are the whole ocean. And so he says, no, I don't believe it. Prove it to me. How do I prove it to you? He says, prove it to me by making sure that all the other waves of the ocean, including myself, suspend themselves. These are like samadhi. Absolutely no thoughts, no waves, no perturbations, everything. then I will understand that I am the wave. First of all, it is not possible. Secondly, if it was possible for a short time, you still have a waviness to yourself, which because of your prarabdha, it is not finished. So as soon as you become a wave, your understanding will be disturbed. You have to understand that even while you are a wave, you are not a wave, you are a water. This is what has to understand. So in this one, there's a lot of discussion. I'm building up to this. There's a lot of discussion, even amongst an incorrect understanding of Advaita Vedanta, which says that, yeah, you study books and so on, and then you start meditating, and then once you become so-called what is called realized soul, then you have all the thoughts will disappear. Raga dvesha will disappear. Your preferences will disappear. Whether you eat idli dosa or puri aloo from the south or the north, will disappear. You will just be plain, absolutely no differences from anything. Is this wisdom? It is not. The wisdom is that, and then they say that even though while you are supposing you become a Jivan Mukta, you will still like idli dosa if you were born from the south. You would still like puri aloo and paratha from Punjab if you were from the north. That doesn't make any difference. How? This is the example that Swami Akhandananda says. He says, so this is a technical word called Badita Anuvritti. We spent so much time with Swami Dayananji on this. Badita Anuvritti. Badita Anuvritti means that Anuvritti means the thoughts after a person has become a Jivan Mukta. Supposing you understand the whole thing very well. I am the Atma, I am Paramatma, etc. This is Mithya, all those kinds of things. Your thoughts are still there. Your preferences are still there. Whether you have idli dosa is still there, paratha is still there. You're not going to completely start eating meat. It won't happen. So, thoughts are still there. Those thoughts are what is called Badita Anuvritti. So, Badita Anuvritti means follow on thoughts. Badita means one that has been neutralized. I think that's a good word. Neutralized. This is the example that Swami Akhandananda gives, which I will now explain. I'm giving you all this background just to give you the sense of this beautiful example, which was really, it really did some, I was affected by it. I said, my God, what a beautiful example. Example is this. It can happen in the West, it can happen anywhere, but it happens quite often in India. So what happens in India is that there is a Ramayana play enacted in some villages. So there's Ramayana which is played at Ram Leela times. We just finished doing that in the last month or so, and in various big movie screens, plays, and small villages also. So in the small villages, the roles are played by what is called natas. So Nataka is played by nata. Nata means role players. So they choose somebody and say, okay, I think you should be Rama, you should be Lakshmana, and so on. And then one of them, he says, you should be Sita. So what happens is in the villages, the elders of the villages don't like to get their girls, their young girls in particular, certainly not women. Women folk do not participate in this kind of a play. This is a sanctified kind of a thing. So what to do? So what they do is they choose a young boy who hasn't grown a beard yet and who looks like a nice youngster with smooth skin and so on, and then make him into a Sita. And hopefully his voice is not also cracked. He still has a kind of a higher pitch voice of a youngster, 10 or 11-year-old. I think it cracks around 12, 13. And so the voice is also feminine. And of course they can dress him up so nicely as a Sita and so on and so forth. And he plays the part of Sita. He's shorter than Rama, and he wears a sari and lipstick or whatever the Sita has to be made up and so on. Okay? Now, the play starts and he does a good job. Everybody applauds it. But do you know what? All the people who are watching this play have a badita anuvritti. What is a badita anuvritti? Even though they know this guy looks like Sita, he is a guy, not a woman. He doesn't look like a boy. He looks like a girl. But they know who he is. And there is no confusion. They can't say, I don't know if he's a boy or a girl. They know the person. He's a neighbor of theirs. They all know he was recruited to become Sita. And he's playing the role of Sita. And he does a very good job. He follows Rama and his voice and so on. He goes after the golden deer. All of those kinds of things are done. It's a very beautiful example. You know why? As you know, each one of us is a combination of Purusha and Prakriti. Whether you are a woman or you are a man, doesn't matter. Everyone has two aspects to their personality. One is Purusha and one is Prakriti. And Purusha so this is not a male or female kind of a thing. These are two aspects of each one of us. Two qualities, if you want to look at it that way. Although the word quality doesn't fully explain Purusha, because the Purusha is without qualities. As we have seen, Nirvishesha, Nirakara. So, but anyway, so each one of us is a kind of a mixture of Purusha and Prakriti. Okay? So what that means is the Purusha plays the role of Prakriti. And to an ajnani, to a casual person who has not yet inquired into it, all you see is this is Prakriti. my manaha, my Shakti. This is the Maya Shakti, which as I mentioned to you in the last class, from an individualistic standpoint, the Maya Shakti is the way our mind works. So we should really come off of this confusing, what is Maya Shakti? Where is the Maya Shakti? What is Maya? People say. Vedantins people criticized Advaita Vedantins as these are Mayavadis. They talk about Maya and they don't understand. They cannot explain. If you ask them what is Maya, they cannot explain it well. They say there's some kind of a Shakti, some kind of a strange, it's like magic. They say it's magic. Vedantins are not Mayavadins. We are Brahmavadins. We are Tattvavadins. And the Maya Shakti is used to see how our mind is creating a scene in front of us in our life and takes us for a ride. This is what Maya Shakti is. Don't look around with some Maya Shakti away from it. It is my own power to delude myself until I really call the bluff. So going back to this example, since I started it, I might as well finish it. And I don't think we'll have time to do, well, we may have to do meditation. We'll see. Still another 20-25 minutes to go. But to complete that example, Badita Anuvritti, this is what I was talking about. And this is the example of role playing. So now complete this thing. Before we are wizened up to this, we don't see the Purusha, we only see Prakriti. How do we see Prakriti? It means that you ask somebody, who are you? They'll give them, my name is this, my age is this, I was born here, and I went to college. This is all Prakriti, all part of this Anatma, this whole expression of your life is all Prakriti, Prakriti, Prakriti. Prakarshena Kriti means very well done. You can even say nature. That's the nature of the world. This is what everybody is only doing. It's kind of like saying, if you go to, we can extend that example, that suppose you should never do this, but suppose it's interesting, I was just going to interrupt myself. So on the Christmas day, we were visiting our younger son and his family, and in San Francisco. And our young 2.5-year-old granddaughter was the first time she was aware of Santa Claus. This has nothing to do with the story, but I'm just going to give you some. So we were all excited. We told them we'll wake up early, which we did. My wife and I woke up at like 5 o'clock. I was awake even earlier, 4 o'clock. And we got dressed up and we drove to San Francisco so that we can see her opening presents. First time in our life. Anyway, all that was beautiful. Had a great time. What I saw was that my son and my daughter-in-law had a big TV in the room where they had the Christmas lights, Christmas tree, presents, and so on. Big TV, huge TV, 70-inch or I don't know how long. And the TV was showing burning logs and really filling the whole room with this very warm glow of the burning logs. Honestly, I've never seen this before. And I said, how did you do this? This is so beautiful. And they don't have, nobody now believes in having real fires. Those days are gone. When we built this home, we had what? 1, 2, 3 fireplaces. When we built this home like 35 years ago, that was the thing to do. And I actually really had a real fire for a while. Gone 20 years ago, we said this is too much pollution. Then we put in a gas one, and even that we don't use anymore. So it's just gone. Anyway, nobody uses fireplaces. But this TV was so beautiful, effective. It seemed like it was warming up the whole room and certainly had a beautiful glow to it. And my son Manoj was telling me, oh, this is from YouTube. You just put the YouTube on it, and I had no idea. And not that I'm going to do it or anything, but it was just fun. But here's the thing. Really, it looked very real to me. That is what I wanted to say. So, for a person who is not yet introduced to this distinction between the Atma and Anatma and so on, the whole thing looks like Prakriti alone. This is Prakriti, this is Prakriti. It's like having a youngster who has never seen, this is what I had that thought in my mind, but I didn't complete it. You should not take, let's say, 1-year-old boy or a 2-year-old even to a frightening movie. They will not be able to, they'll leave supposing you have all these Chewbacca's and U2, B2 and whatever all those characters were. These days they're the whole, I see commercials on the TV. And the more strange the creature, the better. How do we frighten people? And imagine you taking a 2-year-old to this. Is that a good thing to do? Because they cannot tell what is real, what is not real. So anyway, to close that topic up, to an ajnani, to a normal person, this looks like this looks like a Prakriti. It doesn't look like a play. You tell somebody, the whole world is like a play. He says, what are you talking about? This is real. There's nothing more than that. But to a jnani, what it means is this. It is the Purusha in the form of Prakriti. There is no independent Prakriti. It is a boy. He looks like a girl, but it is a boy. If you have any doubts, we can take off his clothes and see his sexual organs and his whole body. He's a boy. And yet he looks like a girl. This is called Badhita Anuvritti. Swami Dayananji had some different examples. I'll go over that maybe some other time. But this example was something new. I had not really grasped it in the manner that Swami Akhandananda pointed out. Very beautiful example. that just because it looks like Prakriti doesn't mean it is Prakriti. It is really Purusha. It is Purusha alone. It may behave like it. It is really the Paramatma alone, unchanging. But you have to understand it. You have to know it. In the case of the boy, we know his background, where he was born, and he was a boy, and so on. But in this case, there's something more that needs to be done. But once you see it, to a jnani, it is badita anuvritti. Then he doesn't look upon the world as it is. He looks at it as a play. And even though he enjoys the play, but at no point does he have any doubts that this is really just the Paramatma alone. This is what is called Badita Parivritti. So this, I had taken off this example as I took a branch off of it when I was talking about it's like a play. But this is an example which I wanted to just share with you. 852. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I will have enough time to complete it with a Nididhyasanam, because there are a few more things that I want to go over to make sure that I think we've already visited some of the words from this, but there are some more things that I wanted to do to complete the word and the sentence meaning, and preferably it should be done on the same day as the Nididhyasanam, but we're running out of time. So what I will do is next time when we meet, I think it'll be next week, we will very quickly go over the concepts of this mantra, maybe in 5 or 7 minutes, and then we will do a Nididhyasanam, and then once hopefully we have enough time, we will go to the third mantra, Yat Pragyan Uta Cheto Datischa Yat Jyoti, etc. Okay, so we will not, I don't think we'll have enough time to do Nididhyasanam, but let me finish at least the word explanations for the second line of the second mantra. So he says, Yad apurvam yaksham. So this we have gone through a little bit in more detail last time, but let me revise it just in the next few minutes. Manaha is characterized by the words apurvam and by the word yaksham. So let's look at those words and the meaning and the significance of that. So apurvam means yat kasyachit na bhavati, yasmat kasyachit na bhavati, tad apurvam. Apurvam means there was nothing before that. There is no karana for it. There correspondingly also anantaram means there is no karya. We will go over that some other time. Both pragabhava and pradvamsa abhava, the posterior non-existence, the prior non-existence and the posterior non-existence are karana karya bhava. But manaha is apurvam. So So apurva means it is already there. There is no adi for it. There is no beginning for it. Just like the Atma, which is you and I, we are also apurvam. There is no adi. You cannot say, at this time I began. How do you know you began at this time? Who knew that you began at that time? What is the consciousness that says, I began? So that means when you began, that consciousness was already there. Otherwise, you can never prove that I began. So we are talking about that conscious being, which is you. So the conscious being, you cannot say, well, this conscious being also began. Conscious being also began means when? How do we know that there's a conscious being that began? Where is the pramana for it? How can it be siddha? How can it be proven? How can you? It's all speculative. We are not dealing with speculation. We are telling you that Atma has always, there is no timeliness to it. It is something purely independent to time and space and vastu. And manaha, being one of its aspects, the Maya Shakti, is also anadi. But there is a difference. Even though the manaha, this is what is also called sukshma sharira. My thoughts, my tendencies, my personality, even though that has always been around and can be changed by various experiences. This is what prarabdha karma comes in. So all those changes are possible, but it never began. It has always been there. But there's a big difference between manaha and the place where manaha, mind, resides, which is the Atma. What is the difference? In manaha, as long as the Atma goes unenquired, because we are all searching. We're searching for something which is complete freedom. But suppose that my sthula sharira gives in, because that's only meant for, it's a machine that is supposed to last for 80 to 100 years. After that, it's going to collapse. But the manaha is still going strong. Because the manaha is still based on your prarabdha and kalpana and all those kinds of things. So even after the sthula sharira goes, the manaha continues on. How long will it continue? Is it forever? No. The manaha is only there until it understands I am not a separate entity from Atma. In which case, this is the thing. In the case of the Atma, it is both anadi, it has never been born, and it is independent of any changes, which is you and I. It will be the same, as we will see in much more clarity about this in the Mandukya Karika. I'm just giving you a gist of it. But in the case of manaha, it is also anadi, but it is not ananta. It becomes one with the Atma once the person understands. Anyway, so this is an explanation of the word apurvam. So apurvam means one which doesn't have anything before that. There's no karana for it. There's no karya for it. It is just It is some quality which is there, which is hard to define specifically. You cannot touch it. It doesn't have any weight. In that sense, the mind is also like a clay cup. See, it is also a very subtle form of like a cup. Why? Because you cannot have a separate entity for the cup apart from the clay. Right? We have seen this before many times in our classes. There is no weight to the cup. The weight of the cup is the weight of the clay. The form of the cup is the form of the clay. The color of the cup is the color of everything is borrowed. There's no substance that you can hang on to. The only thing you can hang on to it, supposing the cup says, okay, touch me. Do I touch? What do I touch? I touch clay. So the cup says, no, I don't want you to touch clay. You touch me. I can't. Where are you? I can't find you. Oh, can't you see I'm right here? Okay, put me on your lips. Okay, I put it on my lips. Only thing that's touching my lips is the clay. Anirvachaniya. So the manaha is exactly the same thing. You cannot touch it, but it is there. So that's characterized by the word apurva. Then the last thing I will do is maybe not the complete last, but almost the last is the word yaksham. So this we had discussed at some length in the last class, given in the Kenopanishads, third section of the Kenopanishad, where you remember all these devas were having a party saying, we won. And so then all of a sudden they saw this very strange creature that they had never seen before, called Yaksham. And so they sent people one by one to understand, and they all came back and said, I don't know, he made me powerless. I'm a Vayu, I could not even blow away a blade of grass. I don't know what happened to me. There's something funny going on in here. So finally Indra goes, the king of the Devatas. And when it approached the Yaksha disappears. So as you know, the story then goes that Indra approached Uma. So Uma means Brahma, means the knowledge, clear knowledge, Paramartha Ananda. And she says, my goodness, don't you know that you did not win? It is the Paramatma, the power of the Atma is the one that made you win. You are just like a sword in his hand. You are a nimitta karanam. But the upadana karanam, abhinna upadana nimitta karanam is Paramatma. This is the Yaksha, which is the Atma. And it's very powerful. You think you won? Go inquire into it. Because if you think you won, your jivatvam will continue to make you a limited being. If you want to be unlimited, then understand where the real power comes from. Get acquainted with it. Inquire into it. This is the Atma, this is the Paramatma. And the word Paramatma is a very interesting one actually. So Parama or Para, both of them very similar. Paratma or Paramatma means the very tattva behind the Prakriti. Clay is the very tattva behind the cup. So if you're just enamored by the shape of the cup and so on, you are embracing, you're very vulnerable. It can break. And that is because you have not inquired into the very nature of the clay which cannot break. That is the word Parama. Paramarthananda. So Ananda we can get here as we were talking about in the last class. You can get here and there a little bit, but Paramatma, Paramananda is something that never goes. That is the nature of the Atma. And that is what Yaksha is. And here we can say that the Yaksha can be either the real person, which is the Atma, which is the Vastu, which is the Tattva, Tattva Jnanam, Purusha, all those things we've been discussing, same thing. Or it can be the reflection, it can be the Prakriti, it can be the Jada, it can be the inert. It is just the basic electricity, or it can be the utility of the electricity in a given setting, like a bulb. And so the Manaha, so here the explanation of Yena and Yadapurvam Yaksham, it appears to refer to a Manaha which is Jada, which is a reflection. But once you understand through Shiva Sankalpa that this is nothing but the main electricity, which is Shiva. So now, so these two words are there. So Apurva means one which is already there before all the Indriyas. This is something more that needs to be talked about. I'll try to remember to finish that part of it next time and then do the meditation. So here Apurva means one which is nothing, which is before the Indriyas came, before karma came. Mana was there already. Because it is a very basic fact of Atma as the expression. And the second one is Yaksham. Means even though it is reflected, but it is very powerful. How powerful? How capable? How amazing? One can easily see in the dream. It is dark outside and dark inside, but you see a blazing sun in the dream. How much more powerful can it be? It creates light by itself. Amazing. The Atma is the one that is creating the whole Prakriti. Is as the Manaha. So the next step therefore is Yat Yena Karmani Apasaha Manishinaha Yagye Krindvanti Vidate Sudhiraha Yadapurvam Yaksham Antaf Prajanam. So this antah and indriya, apurvatvam of the indriya, we will just complete that. That's almost all that we need to do. And then we are done with the second mantra, and then we will finish the understanding of that by doing meditation on it next week. Okay, so with that I'll close the class. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Very good. Nice to see you all. All right. We will hopefully see you on Saturday for the continuation of the Mandukya class. And until then, we'll say goodbye. Hari Om.